Hi, this is Tracy Ensminger, and this is my critical reflection on ethics and professional norms. A little bit of demographics, my personal information. This is my 7th year of teaching. I just switched schools and grade levels, so there are a lot of new things going on this school year for me. I've had class with a few of you, so I'll just add to, you already know, possibly, that I live in the country and I have several pets. I added this summer to my menagerie of animals. 2 guinea pigs, class pets, and 8 hens. I graduated from ESU with a Bachelor of Science in Education. I will be a 2023 graduate of Fort Hays with a Master in Educational Administration, God willing. My a little more continued personal demographics. One pivotal concept I've learned in the last 3 years is that people in roles of leadership do not necessarily know how to do the job and how to conduct themselves professionally. People used to say that there are a lot of politics in education, and I never really knew what they meant until I went into education. And there seems to be a lot of favoritism, at least from my perspective at this point. Article summaries, framework for ethical leadership in education. This article addresses a lack of ethical leadership, which resulted in a framework for ethical leadership in education. And there are 7 key principles. Those being selflessness, acting in the interest of children and young people, having integrity, do not put yourself in the position of owing anybody, be objective, exercise judgment for the good of children and young people, be accountable to the public, and be prepared to be scrutinized, and be open, be transparent in your communications, and be truthful. I mean, bottom line, it comes down to walking your talk, you know. And among other values, trust, justice, and humility are important attributes for school leaders. Differences between personal and professional ethics. This article seeks to explain the differences between personal and professional ethics. Personal ethics is really, it comes from the people we're around growing up, the influences of maybe family and friends in our lives. These are things we carry with us, and professional ethics are what we are sometimes enforced upon us as a code of ethics within a company, things you take on to be able to be successful within that company, just professional norms and things of that nature. Really, personal ethics are your morals, and professional ethics are imposed. And the differences are, I mean, one is just your fundamental character, and one is something that's forced on you and that hopefully maybe will have a positive impact on who you become. Ethical decision making for school leaders. This article delves into the idea that institutions acting unilaterally can affect a great change locally. Like the previous articles, this article points out the importance of characteristics of people in places of leadership. Selflessness, integrity, honesty, to name a few. While this may vary, the bottom line is that the broad concepts are that those in leadership have an obligation to act ethically and morally. Role of ethics in success of students. While this article was basically written by a student, it does have several key principles, ingredients of success, those being honesty, do the right thing in the right way at the time, work hard. This article makes a solid point that people who are successful are not gifted, rather, but that they work hard. Respect, and without respect, especially towards your teachers, success is hard to achieve. Cooperation, and it stresses the importance of cooperating rather than putting yourself in the position of being someone who's competitive. Honestly, competition and competitive attitude just builds that situation and that climate of jealousy, and that's never a good thing. Then you begin comparing yourself to other people, and I mean, there's always going to be someone better than you out there. Bottom line. It's just the way it is. Compassion, and to have compassion and kindness for others, and forgiveness. Holding anger in your heart really hurts you more than it hurts anyone else. Code of Ethics for Educators. As educators, this article lists 4 principles of the AAE Code of Ethics and reiterated ideas from the previous readings. We should, as educators, understand that parents are the primary moral educator, but we are responsible for instilling character qualities that help the student to consider consequences and accept responsibility for their choices. So basically, ethical conduct towards students is, dealing with students fairly, not intentionally exposing the child to humiliation, not divulging personal information unless legally required, and to provide a safe learning environment that supports all students and to teach without bias. Ethical conduct towards practices. Teachers are responsible for educating children in an unbiased manner, testing on things that were only taught in class, not random speculative things. Ethical conduct toward professional colleagues. Be respectful, be helpful, be kind. And ethical conduct toward parents and community. They're a huge part of the stakeholder situation. You really cannot function and run a school without the involvement of parents and community. They're the backbone, bottom line. You might get by with it for a while, but eventually it would catch up to you if you chose to try and make decisions that didn't involve the thoughts of the community and the parents. Committing to ethical leadership, toolkit number 5. This toolkit provides guidance and resources to support current and aspiring school principals in developing their personal capacity for leadership and meeting the criteria outlined in the Utah State Standards for Educational Leadership. The insightful article outlines skills and knowledge for would-be principals, content that relates to Strand 5 of the Utah State Standards for Ethical Leadership. Effective educational leaders act ethically and professionally to promote each student's academic success and well-being. It talks about the standards. The standards for this are 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4. And again, it talks about, as the other articles, as a teacher, we have a responsibility to be professional with our students at all times. 5.2, promote professional attributes of integrity, fairness, and standard 5.3, comply and act in accordance with the Utah Educator Professional Standards described in Rule R277-515, and also to place students, on 5.4, place students at the center of education and accept responsibility in partnership with parents, faculty, and students for each student's academic success and well-being. Interestingly, this article further states that principals are a pivotal part of school and student success, and one way is through retention of good teachers, and good teachers drive quality education. Article summary finale, what principals need to know about ethics. Consistent to the themes of the previous readings, this article makes note of tips to guide your decision-making process. Obviously, be fair to personnel and students. Faculty, staff, and students should be assured that your decisions are fair. Be consistent and make sure that rules apply to all people. And train teachers to be responsible for their actions, especially in providing lessons that meet the needs of all students. Also, teachers are responsible for classroom discipline. And know the mores of your school community. What is acceptable in some communities is not acceptable in others. Values are different in varying districts. Your actions matter 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And make sure you're supervising students at all times. If you can't be in a spot where you're supposed to be, make arrangements to make sure someone can. And deal with matters. Don't ignore situations that come up. They're going to still be there, and they're only going to simmer and get worse if you do not deal with them at the time when they come up. And also make sure that you're dealing with the internet usage and school property. There are many curriculums out there to help students and faculty know how to properly handle internet usage and make use of those. And also make sure that you're maintaining appropriate relationships with students. Really, all of these articles reiterate the same ideas. Sound advice. As leaders, as educators, definitely food for thought. Personal and professional ethics matter. In both cases, they indicate our moral compass. And sometimes they are learned, and sometimes they are a result of workplace. But they are fundamental to integrity. Ethical leaders are fair and selfless, courageous, honest, and ethical. By understanding professional norms of your workplace, you are finding your role in the larger place of social norms. And we all must advocate for professional norms in education, and we must strive to raise the bar. Here's my critical reflection. My concluding thoughts with my correlation. My personal reflection. And my sources. Thank you so much. Sorry this is so late. I look forward to working with all of you, and I hope we have a great 7 weeks left now. See you later.